You bring a plant home, set it by the window, and follow the care tag perfectly. But a few weeks later, it starts drooping. The leaves turn yellow, the edges curl. Almost immediately, you assume a watering mistake. You either reach for the watering can to save it, or you back off, convinced you've drowned the roots. But if the plant continues to decline, the real problem is happening out of sight. The failure originates in the structure of the soil itself. Let's look at standard general-purpose potting soil. Out of the bag, it looks rich and ready to use. Yet that generic mix physically degrades over time. A plant's roots act like a set of lungs. They must breathe oxygen to survive. That means the soil surrounding them has to function as a highly efficient air system. This is a cross-section showing how healthy soil is filled with tiny pockets of air. But as months go by, gravity and moisture do their work. The soil particles compress downward, and those essential air gaps completely disappear. When you pour water into this compressed mass, it pools and sits. The roots are trapped in a dense, soggy environment, cut off from oxygen. Putting a plant in compacted soil slowly suffocates it. To keep a plant healthy, abandon pre-mixed bags of dirt. Instead, treat soil as a structural engineering toolkit made of specific, raw materials. Materials like sand and perlite, which is a lightweight expanded volcanic glass, act as the mechanical engines for your pot. They force water to drain quickly and keep pathways open for air. Then you have coco coir, made from coconut fibers. It operates like a biological sponge. It holds on to water to keep the plant hydrated, but remains porous enough to let oxygen slip through. Finally, chunks of orchid bark act as rigid structural scaffolding. They are physically too large and dense to compress, which stops the soil from collapsing into a solid block. Understanding these mechanical properties allows you to engineer a custom microbiome tailored to the exact needs of any plant. Take a succulent or a cactus. These species evolved in incredibly harsh, dry environments. Their root systems are built to absorb a rapid influx of water and then immediately dry out. Placing a desert plant in standard soil that constantly retains moisture effectively buries it in a swamp. The roots will rot. This diagram illustrates an arid soil mix, built heavily with sand and pumice, a highly porous volcanic rock. Notice how the large, jagged particles leave wide gaps. Water flushes straight down through the pot almost instantly, leaving the roots dry and aerated. Now contrast that with plants like ferns or peace lilies. These originate on humid forest floors, where the ground stays continuously lightly moist. This cross-section shows a tropical soil matrix. It relies on coco coir to catch and hold water droplets. But because it's mixed with bark and perlite, distinct pathways stay open, allowing air to continuously weave through the structure. You can measure your water to the exact drop, but if the physical architecture of your soil doesn't match the plant's evolutionary habitat, it will eventually fail. There is an unavoidable variable that affects every potted plant: time. Over a cycle of 12 to 18 months, organic materials like bark and coir naturally decay. They lose their shape, the structure settling, and drainage slows to a crawl. Repotting serves as a structural reset. You are tearing down a collapsed biological ecosystem and rebuilding it from scratch. Let's go back to those struggling plants. The yellowing leaves, the sudden drooping, the halted growth. These are explicit physical signals. Your plant is feeding you real-time data about failing conditions beneath the surface. Attempting to fix a structural collapse by withholding a cup of water or watering a day later won't change the density of the dirt. True plant care requires interpreting physical decline as a direct demand to fix the underlying soil mechanics. The goal is to become an environmental designer. You look at where a plant naturally grows, and you engineer a precise replica of that world in your living room. Predictable, maximum growth relies entirely on constructing the correct environment, long before you ever pick up a watering can.